Okay, good evening. I'd like to call this regular meeting of the North Branford Conservation and Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Agency to order. Again, this meeting on Wednesday, August 28, 2004 at approximately, actually at 6:30 p.m. First thing I'd like to do is do a roll call of everyone seated here this evening. We have regular members Bob Whitworth, Ashley Joyner, Jerry Fishbeck, and to my right, we have our town planner and wetlands administrator, David Perkins. I'm Steve Scavo. I'm chairman for this evening's meeting. Next, we'd like to do the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, next, we'd like to move on to item 3, which would be minutes meeting of July 24th, 2024. And if anyone has any revisions or modifications, I know Ashley had mentioned possibly some.
I wasn't, I think David talked with her.
Oh, Dave, okay. Do we make some revisions on the meetings minutes or that we need to note, or?
There was a member of the audience who had some comments relative to the minutes. If you'd like to hear from her, that's up to you.
Yeah, if we can, yeah, I guess, sure. Could you identify yourself for the record, please?
Hi, my name is Martha Capello. I live at 178 Parsons Hill Road. In reading the description of the minutes for 118 Parsons Hill Road, I note here that when it was presented at the last meeting that you had, that it had made note of there being another 8 lots being added to an already existing 4 division and 7 houses. And I wanted to correct for the record.
Okay.
That the actual legal notice, which I have a copy of here, is actually for 10 lots and the addition of 9 houses.
Okay.
So I think that the addition of 2 houses in that area is an important thing to note.
Okay, so modified, we'll make that noted on the notes.
I also noted here a reference to the open space requirement is to deed a parcel to the town, and it's my understanding that you could actually deed a parcel of land and or pay money. I don't know if you feel the need to clarify that, but that is in fact how your regs read, so perhaps you want to update that as well.
Okay.
And also at the end here, it says it should be decided, it should be deeded to the town as it could be utilized for public works or municipal use. And again, I call your attention to the definition of the open space requirements pursuant to your inland wetland regulations, and would say that you should maybe specify that a little bit more, because there are parameters in which you can use the open space, as you're all well aware.
Okay.
So, and I know that the committee is in receipt of comments that I previously made to you, and I thank you for thoughtfully pondering over those.
No, thank you for addressing some of those. We'll make the revisions in the minutes. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right. Does anyone else, with those, including those revisions, does anyone else have any more revisions or modifications?
I wasn't here.
So we could, I guess, well, Bob, actually, Jerry and I guess can approve them, or make a motion if either Bob or Jerry would like.
Approval of the minutes as amended.
Okay.
I'll second it.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Abstain.
Motion. And Ashley will abstain. Very good. All right. So the next item would be new business. I'm sorry, would be old business, which I see there is none. Right? Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Next, we'll move to 5 new business. First would be a jurisdictional ruling at 1535 Middletown Avenue. Removal of trees and clearing within 100 foot of a wetland or water course. Property owner, ASD Properties, LLC.
And do we have an applicant here?
Well, Dave, if you want to just update the agency members, at least you can tell us what you found, or.
Well, we can start there. The 1535 Middletown Avenue is close to the Milcon Tavern. The area it's about 10 acres of land. It has you can pass it around. The area has been totally clear cut. think I left another map. There is a.
Clear cut without permit, I take it.
There are no permits whatsoever. There's a water course that goes through the middle of the property. It's owned by ASD Properties. I was made aware of it by the water company, who's an adjoining property. There is a tributary to the Farm River that drains this watershed off the side of Totoket Mountain. Erosion controls were put into place. Whether the applicant is choosing to use it for agricultural purposes or they're just clear cutting, I have no idea, which is why they've been invited to the meeting tonight. As far as they have sort of stabilized the land. They've not been really into the wetlands, but they've certainly been within the 100-foot buffer all the way over the property, and it's almost 10 acres, and they probably cleared 8.5 acres. Clear cut, but no stumping, no removal of soil, no digging in the ground, grading,
excavating,
just cutting.
So just to refresh this, so if you go across the bridge, is it way in the back or to the right? Is it that area, that wooded area, like just to
Yeah, if you go over the bridge into the mill pond, then you go right up the hill south. There's like a little valley back there.
And pretty much it was all wooded before this happened.
It was all wooded. Yeah.
And I'm kind of disappointed they didn't come, because it would be nice to talk about it, and, obviously. And so you haven't really heard from them? I know you let them know that they should be attending, obviously.
I wrote them a letter.
Okay. Did you get any response, I guess?
Which I thought I gave you copies.
Nope. And do you have any wetlands map of the area?
Yeah, I do. So here, I'll give you these
Oh,
copies.
okay.
And actually, the
Yep.
wetlands map is in
Oh.
my office, so just grab it.
These extra. Oh.
Lay it right here.
It's not really that large.
Yeah.
So Middletown Avenue, Mill Pond Tavern, drive up, here's the house up here. This has all been cleared.
Oh, so you can see that from the road? That's way back.
Who
You can't
owns
see
this
it because it's
house?
all uphill.
Who owns this house?
ASD Properties.
Oh, okay.
He actually is here now.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
Hey, guys.
Hi.
Hi, oh,
Andy Pizzuto, ASD, whatever, Northford, Connecticut, Lanes Pond Road.
perfect.
Or a little, I don't know, I can't see it too, but I wish it was a little bigger.
Yeah, that's the one we have. Thank you.
So where is the bridge going into Mill Pond?
Right here.
Yep. And then you come right up here.
Oh, so the actual building is over here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is up the hill. Remember, he was going to build those places for brides to change and for people to stay overnight. This was all part of the original plan when he did this.
so,
Right? Am I correct with that, Andy?
say that again?
That this
I'm
was,
sorry.
that this was the area that, with the original design of the mill pond, you were planning on doing the bridal suites and the
Okay,
places to
yep,
stay?
And so this is the second part of Mill Pond. We're conjoining it, Jim has that going through the process.
Do it up here.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, sorry.
Okay,
That's right.
this is Middletown Ave. Here's the driveway to the Mill Pond, the bridge, Ash.
yep,
You go over the bridge, we go to the right side, and we own this property. This is Willie's Corner, right, where all their vegetables are. And that being said,
such a stable tripod. Oh my God.
I think before we get us boots, we need to get a
higher,
tripod
right
there.
there. There we go. I think you got it
Next
now.
budget, we're gonna get.
I think we could.
But anyways, this is the
So this is the house.
Okay.
up here.
Yep,
And this is cleared from when I did construction, we stockpiled a lot of the material up here. Now it's been leveled off. Right here, we're hoping to put that motel. All of these prints are in draft. I thought Jim was giving me a draft of what's coming for the proposal, because we're that close, you know? But he gave me the property line, that's fine. I mean, he's in North Haven, we're all over. That being said, so what we did some clear cutting on this ridge to get ready. It already had an area here. We just cleared the stumps on top of this flat land. That's the only stumps that have been removed. The rest of the property, we did sconging. Loggers will tell you, like when they cut a mountain top, they leave all the stumps, right? They take the lumber, they leave the stumps, no erosion, no disturbance of the land, blah, 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 blah. We did the same thing. The only crossing we had was a pipe that was here from the Hansons back in the day. I added another pipe, so we had the width to drive that skidder across without doing the, river back and forth thing. And we only sconged areas of elevation that were going to be pertinent to the buildings. And what you'll see in the draft that comes in is we didn't touch any wetlands. They're all flagged, and there's still all the borders in place. What I did do is didn't have my silt fencing down around the area. We did some of that. The storm did wreck us, but they just today put new ones up, and we're back on it.
Fix it again, that's all.
So, but that'll be good. Up here by elevation, we cleared these spots that are really the height of elevation. We stayed out of all lowlands. My original goal here, guys, after we get through getting in trouble or whatever I gotta do, I want to resurrect this pond. This dam is gone and it's just silted in like crazy over there. On all of the maps, that has a pond, and you look in the future, this area, it's still allocated like it is a pond, but there's nothing but a stream that goes through. I love the aesthetics. I want the pond back. I'm actually not taking any wetlands. I want to actually add one here. You can see this is a high elevation and this is a high elevation. And this is just runoff from the mountain. And I'll show you where this comes from in the future. But I would love to add a second one here or here. I'll tell you why. The project has walking trails. And we put a little gazebo on this peak. And I'd love to get like in Florida, what do they call those?
for pictures.
Yeah, no, the whole thing. So, but don't forget, this is going to be residential, so it's going to be used by the people who live there and or as well, wedding and that stuff. So that's the overall picture, and that was why when I came in, the loggers, listen, they paid me to take the lumber because it's been 100 years, so I didn't have to pay 10 grand a year to clear land in the future.
So-
It's still right there. We put down rye seed as well.
So just my question is, just so I can see this whole line, I mean, where is the actually wetlands that we're concerned about, so we know where we can focus?
I
That's
think
all.
where I crossed is the
That's just,
let
because
the
I mean,
boss
it's a
go
big lot, I mean, if it's away, if it's out of the buffer, we're not worried, we just want to, let's focus on that, just
And
because.
again, I'm conscious of that, so come on out.
I'm just trying to learn, because I've never been up there, so without doing a
Come on out,
sidewalk,
listen, I'm ready.
we're just trying to learn what exactly,
There's a large
the encroachment was.
wetland
It's these two flags.
hole
Oh, I
So the
see, I
flags.
didn't see that, yeah, so that's,
in this
I
area
got you.
Yep,
that's full of silt.
That's what I'd like to
cattails,
resurrect.
and that's what Mr. Bizzuto would like to turn into a pond, which probably is not a bad idea. And then there's a crossing
That's where I are.
right in here.
and you said you already put some
Well,
type
it
of
had a
pipe
pipe,
in
it had
there?
a single, cement pipe.
Yep.
Because they used to drag their quads and the kids.
But how big, we're talking about
Right here.
24, 36?
It's a 36, so I put another 36.
Side by side?
And I actually put two after it, just in case the 100-year flood, only because I knew from prior. I had to double, I didn't, ding, okay, go ahead guys. And I did that because I didn't want them dragging the, when they drag them trees, the right of
So
way is pretty
this
muddy.
this area probably takes drainage from the mountain, I'm just trying to, again,
Yeah,
just
so
trying to understand.
believe it or not,
So
that's
let's make
all
another
there.
pond
It has to
here
come
or
from
here?
here and come here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But
you-
it must come
gravel
down the
road.
elevation, right? It comes this way, right? I imagine.
I can't wait for you guys to come out and take a look at one point. You see this right here? Right here is our gravel road for the water company. We have goes behind the Park and Rec Ash. They have their drainage pipe, which is okay because they carry the whole mountain, right? And then they got a gravel road, they have this side haunch, and then the pipe is literally, this is just runoff from that gravel road. At some point in the project, I'm gonna they come in anyway, RWA, and I'm gonna say, guys, can we look at, they have their they own all the water, right? And they own this whole piece, can we, and I'm not looking to dry anything, you can keep whatever you got, but let's get this off of, I wanna put some kind of diversion or ask them to take their pipe and turn it that way, which it'll run into their land. This is their watershed. That was the old Jesmonte property.
So right now, it's just running onto this property.
Yes,
And
and
we
Ash,
wanna try to
honestly, this
divert
wouldn't
it
even
to
be
here.
here. This is a wetland flagged area.
So let's see-
It's honestly
let's
the
see,
runoff of.
Can we see it up here?
Yeah, so it would be, okay, see this right here? Okay, you see how that's flagged?
Yep.
Okay, there's a gravel road that surrounds RWA's
Yeah.
property, and if I come in the
There's
woods.
a stream here.
Exactly, so that's really just mountain runoff from the way they pipe the road, and I think it could be really,
And it comes in and
see,
gets
so,
into the water.
that's all I'm
See the
saying.
sidewalk, I guess.
I think it could be really easily
And then
fixed,
where's another-
and it wouldn't, see this whole section, it really wouldn't exist with flags. You gotta see that,
Right here,
this is
here's the front.
186.
Well, no,
But it must come through this
Yeah.
dry
But
pond,
there's
right in the middle,
another-
and
This,
come make
this
its
is
way
the
down,
Fall
right?
River.
But I'm saying this water.
So
goes through here,
I'm
but-
sure it goes down a little bit further downstream.
Gotcha, that's what I
Yeah.
was thinking.
So the plans for this, originally what I remember when you were redesigning the mill pond was that you wanted areas for the bride and groom to stay, for people to stay overnight, and now you're gonna do residential as well?
Yeah, this is a whole package. Phase one is this, with a little bit of motel type thing, and then I'm going for residential dwellings, rentals.
Do you know how
I got
many?
100 and some units plugged in right now. It's 20 acres.
So you don't have a plan with everything yet, you're just.
Yeah, no, I have a draft for you, but they didn't want to
That's
debut
fine.
it just yet. They want to, dot the i's, cross the t's. But yeah, this project is as big as Lenny Fasano and the Tucket Woods, which, by the way, there's no vacancy and so on and so on.
So
this is
you're
our-
thinking of building up,
Yeah.
not just
Well, no,
wide.
they're townhouse type. There's two kinds. There's townhouse and there's an apartment style one right here. This density has about 32
So
units.
let's talk up here, Andy, so everybody.
Sorry.
Hey, we're bouncing around. Stop. You're answering our questions.
So there's like an apartment,
This will be
a
a little,
hotel type.
that's the
thing
little
up here.
motel. It's an 18-room proposed thing, so we can have weekend venue. That also will have a marrying, ceremony thing that we've short on. We have proposed a road that comes down and actually goes where the crossing is, believe it or not. There's a bank of buildings here that are townhouse type. There's a building here that is apartment style that will share in the parking of the front of this. So there's like 140 spots just in this section for that little motel and this building of apartments. That is a potentially 3-story. Very similar to like the guy on Firelights project, that one that came through and it's getting resubmitted. And then that being said, we come across the street. These are set up very much townhouses, and the blocks of buildings are 5 and 6, and there's 2 at 8. So they're connectable. They sit, one sits forward, one sits back. You'll see the design is very
So,
no pond.
I was just gonna say,
And the patio's in the back. When you're on your patio, you don't have a guy right there. His is back, and then the next one's forward. Yeah, I mean, we kind of designed it pretty cool.
So I assume part of this plan, because we haven't seen it, of course, which we will, is gonna incorporate the building of a bridge structure.
Oh, yeah, no,
Obviously,
we
there's
gotta do
culverts
real-
now. But
yes,
you're gonna have to do something, that's all gonna be in the plan, obviously,
Yes,
come
sir.
before us and
Yes.
zoning, so it's.
Listen, there's a ton of
big project.
infrastructure. We're burying all the wire. We've talked to Wallingford Electric already. We know this will encompass some kind of, probably the sewer system. We have ability to put a pump station or go the other way, whichever. We have a couple proposals coming.
So let me ask you, so right now, though, you're not doing anything else till we get this squared away?
Right,
So
right.
You're good for now, that's our main thing, we
Yeah.
have a chance to walk it and.
No, I had a chance to
plans.
get rid of those logs and
Yeah.
So I-
this is a
I
great
mean,
time to stay out of all the wetlands, so we didn't try to encroach any flag zones, you know?
Right.
I actually want to leave it aesthetically pleasing. I don't want a flat open field, you know what I mean? So the goal is to leave as much as we can. And actually, I had the 2 ponds. Ash, so give me one up here. This wetlands, if you see it, it'll go into like 9 tributaries, because trees that fall, the wetlands get larger. You know how that deal. But I'd love to add one because I got gazebo this height. You see these elevations are high. And I was gonna put one in, like Florida has, if you go back to the hotel, they get the walkway on the stilts.
Yeah, like a raised decking.
Or,
you know,
a boardwalk.
boardwalk.
For a boardwalk, for a better analogy. And my goal would be to put one of those boardwalks so they can access and have their gazebo and sit in the evening or whatever they do. We want 3 of those. There'll be one by this pond, one here, there's gonna be one up on this ridge right in front of Willie's Field. So there'll be 3 locations that we're hoping to have walking access that creates this greenway trail on the property, if that makes sense. You'll see, it'll be, it's still
Elevated
delineated.
boardwalks are actually better than just digging out a.
I'm curious
sidewalks.
about something, the lumber company that came in and did the cutting for you. Didn't they have to go to the town?
I know, to get permit.
For some kind of clearance or?
I just called our friends in Guilford that do it, so I didn't know if you had to have a
Well, no, who was
permit.
the company that did the?
Marlowe.
But,
Marlowe,
You know,
Yeah,
New
no, I-
England,
yeah.
I don't know that.
Well, I mean, I'm just thinking back to the 80s. I had my property selectively cut. And the first thing they did was go to the town hall
Get a
and
permit.
check the maps and make sure and everything was okay.
Right, well, that would be the right thing to do.
we didn't do that.
Okay.
Because then they, well, of course, you know, say, you know, hindsight, but if they had done that, at least in that, maybe we could have steered them away from the wetlands, but, you know, what's done is done, we'll have to address it now.
Yeah, this was the only crossing available that existed. I wasn't gonna go down near that pond or anything. It was like the shortest.
Yeah, that
So
was
you're
across
telling us that when you
So-
cross a wetland, you stayed in where the culvert was, you
Yeah,
didn't
and
go
we had
north
all
or
this
south?
flag,
You
Jim
didn't
will
go
show
either
you, we've
side?
had this flag a year ago, so we knew where all our flags were for wetland, and you could go there today, and the buffers are still there, we just
So-
cleared the hills.
We need to.
How about the,
I'm sorry, go ahead, Dave.
How about the erosion controls? Are they under control or are they?
After
Yeah,
the
they
storm,
are.
after the storm.
It's kind of hard
Things
to
we
stop
put in.
that.
Into the ground or are they?
Yeah, we backfilled them with mulch, we put mulch, you know, what we have is a large volume of mulch from chipping, right? So we put down the fencing and then bedded in mulch, so that at least
It's
it's
a natural filter.
You know what I mean, the whole
Yeah,
filter.
yeah,
We
no,
did that when we did the mill pond, we did a similar thing
No, that's
for the river.
that's a good choice of doing it.
Well,
So-
the EP suggested it, so we were like, all right, that's great, mulch is easy.
Yeah.
Not easy, but you always have it when you're at a
Right.
job doing something near wetlands, it makes sense. So, I'm sorry, guys, I didn't know.
Yeah, no,
I
well-
was just-
But based on what you've already done in the past, you know,
Yeah.
previously with Mill Pond and everything, I mean, I suspect that this is gonna turn out to be something really nice.
Yeah.
But I also, assume that this is gonna be an engineered project, et cetera,
This
et
is all
cetera.
done by engineers,
Yeah,
it's a big, this is
okay.
not a little
So,
project.
yeah.
Remember when I came the first time, you weren't certain about mill pond? And I said, guys, I got this.
Well, no, what we weren't sure about, we didn't know what
I
your
think
vision
This
was.
is a big project, this is $26 million.
No, it's a big project and it's a
And
big
it's getting
project.
done by real people, you know that, I can't, we don't gamble, listen, you know what I mean?
Wait.
There's certain things we can do, there's a lot we know we can't do, I'm not saying I'm building
Right, but it's,
it,
it's also a big project in terms of the amount of
Wetlands,
wetlands that
yes,
are on
it
the
is.
lot.
Yeah.
Right.
It is.
And
But the
in
ponds
fact,
would-
on the Farm River,
Yeah.
that is right down below here.
Yep.
And, you know, you guys have jurisdiction
So
over that.
you know what I did?
It's a
And,
sensitive
But
area
I-
because of the
So what
farm
I
river
did is took a
proximity.
map
That's-
house, and I you know what, maybe I'll bring you that map on the next one. Very interesting, very interesting. The wetlands that are available, the protection of our watersheds, we are phenomenal as a town, just so you know. We have higher protections on watershed than any other town around with their RWA, which is a blessing and a good thing. And the open space is incredible. We've got 7,000 acres of open space already between the RWA alone, right? And the town properties that are owned under open space. There's not very many properties left that we could put on tax rolls. I'm gonna explain something real easy here. We have to shift what we do. We just wrote We just wrote $100 million in bonds that were not secured yet with a fixed interest rate. The taxes are going up. What properties are we gonna do in the future to create tax revenue, right? And it's a real viable question because we're gonna have a trajectory here that comes. So I think that at some point, and it's not relevant to that, but it certainly has to have a better process that we can transition into the future of building some taxable property. And I don't know where they are. I'm a guy that owns a bunch of stuff, but there's not a lot left for us. So we have to think about two things. We can't change the RWA and the deal that we got in 1960, whatever. By the way, in the documents, if you go deep enough, we were the only town excluded from the pilot program. Wait a minute, we got the biggest lake that feeds the most people and we were excluded? East Haven gets a higher tax base from RWA than Branford.
That's why when you sat on town council with me, we tried to redo that.
Listen, and I know that it's a bigger lift than us here, guys, it is, but, so we can't change that. We have a ton of open space that's protected by us, our town, our open space committees, all great stuff. We also own the last properties that are viable for taxable income. We're sitting in one of them. So I know everybody hears about centralization. We really do got to put the 20-year plan into play. The meeting last night at council regarding Northford Center, Ashley, you know that was written by the people even before us with that causeway behind the center. That's in the 20-year plan, and so is centralizing our stuff. If we could put BOE in, we have available property in Northford for retail or something. I'm just throwing stuff out there. You got this property, if we put town hall up there. Okay, everybody says, where are we getting the money? I'm going to tell you where we get the money. We own the lands that are viable for sale. We already own them, the wall fields. We already have this stuff. Sorry to take up and go off track, but it's really an important thing. And so are these, because these are taxable dollars.
Very important what you say, but for the sake of time, how about we focus on this? But your point is well taken for a future discussion.
Anyway, sorry.
So, he's going to come before us with a plan.
Yeah. And then we can plan it. That's the next thing. Then, because we need to do a site walk, but it's probably better to have a site walk to know where the activities are actually being done. Then we can. Are you close to doing that, Andy? Or
yeah, no, we're done cutting. So this is all after the fact. Come on down and walk it when you want. You know, whatever you want. I'm open.
No. I know. As part of any, we have to site walk it in. But my point is that if we had a plan of your phase one, then we could look at the areas, especially that.
Oh yeah, all right.
Because we need to know.
I got a draft of the whole project. So we're putting together a plan front to back.
Right. What we need to do, and we're focused based on the wetlands and planning zones and everything. But we just need to know where the activities are, so when we walk, we can at least get some understand what you're doing and what you're disturbing.
So the short term, which is the long term, is you're not doing anything, right?
No, not back here, really not. We just set the logger in. And our activity is all right here, as you know, where everything exists now,
right? I'm saying, Andy, what you've done recently, you're not doing anything more for the next year.
No, the equipment comes out, we're done. Yeah,
okay, so we got time. I didn't know the time for this.
He cleared it so he can look at it.
Okay, now you can look at it and come up with your
We
plan.
need to get some elevation straight. If you notice, this is like a,
I understand.
So I think the only activity is the crossing.
That's it. And now all the skidders and all that are literally yesterday and today they're pulling out because they're done with their, and all the brush is clean, and we just put the rye seed. So I took these clean areas and I put the stumps in them, and we walk around and we spread rye seed, so that'll pop.
You'll see it. Well, that's good. I mean, at least you'll have some vegetation
You
there.
guys come out anytime now or later. And again, we'll phase the project.
Right.
We're bringing the whole thing in so you can help us get through.
So my question is to
both
mostly Dave. So at this point, if you're not doing anything for a year, I mean, we could look at it. It's up to the agency members, but we will have to look at it when we get actually the site plan coming in, because that's what we usually evaluate that. So what would you recommend, Dave? Do you think we should go out now or wait till we actually get the first phase, of plan in front of us?
Well, you shall have something to see. But you decide. I don't care.
Wait, that's what I think, right?
Because
Because we won't know what we're looking at. I mean, it'd be
Wait
nice.
for an application.
The only regulated activity that he's actually done recently is put that culvert in, if you actually put it in. I didn't know if
Well, it had a pipe, but it didn't have enough for the guys with the skidders. It was a one.
So the one thing I would like to say is whatever you put there, that we'll deal with it, but don't pull anything out. Don't do anything. Don't do anything more there. Just leave it so when we come out, we can see it, and then
we'll be able to walk across it.
Well, yeah, and then we can come up again. It's so that way, as long as you can promise you aren't going to do that, then when the time comes, and okay, we believe, we know you do good stuff.
So my concern is
Yes.
that we don't have any erosion problems.
Right.
And you and I have been through that over the last couple of weeks.
And that's why I started rye seeding as well. So
Silt fence wasn't put down. I was sort of tipped off to this by the Regional Water Authority. You do have a number of people in the audience from the Regional Water Authority, and maybe you'd like to hear their feelings. This is the Regional Water Authority.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just want to be careful because it's not a public hearing. I mean, we might have to have we could deem this a significant activity if we get a plan, which would be fine.
We will have a public.
I'd say we've pretty much guaranteed, right? So it's not that I want to, but it not being the format for, I mean, unless someone has something specific to say, but if it's.
Just giving you the option, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, we've been trying to be pretty consistent with that, because sometimes meetings turn into public hearings. I just want to be fair to anyone else who's ever come here.
Perfect.
We've tried to, people have some information, like, it's fine, but, right now, I think we'll wait till we get an application or whatever you deem that. The only thing I would ask, if you could, David, until we get an application, which I don't know when you're gonna be submitting that.
In the next 60 days.
Okay,
We're
well,
right there. They have
That's
it.
fine. When you get that, then
Yeah.
we'll hold the public hearing and everyone will have their chance to speak. Because without seeing it or seeing a plan, I just don't know what information would help us. Whether you're for or against, it doesn't matter. But I'd like you, Dave, if you could just monitor, I know, the erosion controls.
I'll keep an eye on it.
Because I know we could have a bad rain or something, it could be perfect now, if you could just, that's all I ask, till we get that, fall, sometimes September, October, you get some bad rains, that's all, if you could do that for us, I would feel much better.
And like
So-
everything else, the RWA can submit letters with
course. Oh,
information
absolutely.
to inform us of things too.
You can do that right now, I just, like you said, the only thing is I just want to be hesitant to have too many people speak when it's not technically a public. I understand, that's okay. We asked you for your input, we needed your
No worries.
explain your activity, so, at this point then, is there anything else that you'd recommend, Dave, other than?
No, I think we're good.
Just wait till we get the application, and then that starts the clock for,
Yeah.
oh, yes.
I had a
Sorry,
question,
Bob.
I don't know.
Go ahead.
Who is best to answer it, David, maybe you are. This water course, is this an existing named stream, or is this just a drainage ditch? I mean, I could get a heavy rain and I'll have a stream in my backyard.
Well, it does say
This
stream
is-
brook
this
right
is
here.
This is a runoff from the whole mountain. I think the engineers told me there's close to 200 and some odd acres of the mountain.
See my
that
point?
drains.
We
So
want to know if it's
that's-
intermittent
that's
or an actual
live.
flowing stream. So,
Up here is that little spot.
is it an intermittent waterway that takes drainage, or is there water in there?
So this water comes from the mountain and it's live all the time
So,
and it runs when
just
the rain
even by
comes. This
this,
is the one,
You see my point? My
Yeah.
point was, if it's a named stream, it's been around forever. If it's just runoff from a
not
bad
a
storm, it's just the runoff from a bad storm, or?
yeah, this is the
constant-
runoff. From
This
the whole
one
mountainside
is
runs
continuous.
that
Probably,
way.
yeah.
This
Okay.
one is
It
continuous.
takes like, behind Willie Chicarelli, that whole.
And actually, we do regular intermittent water courses anyway. You can-
Very good.
Never stop.
So
Okay.
it's good,
That
but it's good,
answers-
but it's good to
And
know.
Well,
hasn't been prominent enough to be called Andy.
His new name is a brook.
All right, so the all right.
It's higher in the rain and dry almost and no rain.
All right,
But, yeah,
if I may,
but I think it's still wetlands forever.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna add,
Improve the habitat. Yes.
you know, we're talking about runoff from the mountain. Basically, it's just a big basalt slab that goes for a couple of miles, so nothing's really going into the aquifer. It's just hitting that and running off as if it were concrete. Is that correct?
Well, it is a tributary to the.
No, I'm talking about how the water gets into
Oh.
that.
Well, it comes in a couple different ways, not just the runoff, but over here as well, from the mountain going through the gravel road that is the RWA has
Okay.
also designed.
All right. That's it. That's all I had.
Oh, very good, Bob. Thank you.
Thank you, or, well, whatever you say.
Well, we have to wait for an application to do
Yeah,
anything else.
So at this point, I would say,
So Scott Small is my architect, engineer, and Jim Preddy, and all the guys. Oh,
so
same
basically,
Same old rule.
you understand what we need to maintain the erosion controls, don't do anything else on the property, and then when you come with a plan, everyone who's here today or anyone in the town can come, have a public hearing, and then they can speak
The whole
on it.
thing, I
Yeah.
get it, just like every other one.
It's a big project, yeah, and
That's
there's
okay.
nothing wrong with that, it's just,
When I need to come on the lot
Huge
to
project.
inspect,
Yeah. You can go.
you will welcome me, right?
Let it be said, he has free access.
okay, well, boy, that's an
I don't
invitation.
charge many for, anyway.
All right. All right, thank you, Andy, appreciate it.
Sorry about that.
No problem, it's okay.
Sorry, guys.
Technically.
All right.
Okay.
We're going to move on to the second item under new business, which is a review of permitted use of right RWA water storage tank on West Pond Road, map 27A, lot 6A.
Do we have a map of this?
We have little,
That's
you
what
send
this
out little
is?
ones?
Okay.
Yeah. I think they'll have bigger ones.
So David, you want me to just, we can let them describe the project? Do you have anything to lead into it, or?
No, I think this is
there anything we need
the storage tank over sort of by,
Yeah, it's right by my house.
Yep, right around the corner from me.
yeah,
Yes.
West Pond
Yep.
Road.
It's right across the
Yep.
street from the.
Actually, yeah, it's right across the street.
Add another one. Okay.
Oh my goodness. We get big
Now
maps
you
now.
want it.
These guys came prepared.
You want a big one,
So-
Ashley?
That tank has to be,
Nice.
what, somewhere near 50 years old or more?
I was constructed in 73.
73?
Yeah.
I remember
So
when
it's
it was
just 50.
built. Yeah, okay.
1973.
Yeah.
So look, we should let these gentlemen speak and go over the project, or?
Yeah.
It's good, we're good, okay. So you guys can start, so you both identify yourself for the record and proceed.
All right, good evening, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity to present this project before you. My name is Willow Kelly, Manager of Design and Construction and Regional Water Authority. Some of my colleagues are here, Paul Savoy, Project Engineer, Ron Walters, who is our Senior Environmental Analyst. Along also we have our consultant, Mr. Andrew White, and the soil scientist, Matthew Reagan.
Yeah.
All right, so we are here today to present the new water tank. We presently have an existing tank which is 3.3 million gallons, welded steel tank constructed in 1973. This tank is critical to the RWA distribution system as it provides fire protection and maintain adequate pressure and supply for the service area. In 2016, when this tank was last painted, there was a significant risk to the system with the tank offline for an extended period of time. Therefore, the long-term replacement of the single tank with two smaller tanks will provide redundancy and allow for isolation of each tank for future maintenance. The construction of this new 1.5 million gallon concrete tank to the service area is important and is necessary as it provides us resiliency to mitigate operational concerns with taking one existing tank offline for inspection, maintenance, and or improvements. Our forefathers had the insight to purchase this large enough piece of land and identified the proposed location of a second tank actually when it was purchased and where it should be constructed or where it could be constructed in the future. We're here this evening to present that case and to seek the right of use permit to construct this new tank. The project is expected to go through all the local and state permitting, along with our internal RPBA representative policy board approval. And it is our intention that the construction of this new tank will begin sometime in spring of 2026 and a completion date of sometime in 2028. I'll now turn over to Mr. Andrew White, who's going to go through the drawings and the rest of the presentation.
Okay, thank you.
Best to speak in
Sure,
the
yes, go right
Yes.
ahead.
Just take it with you.
Oh, that's okay, yeah.
So for the record, Andrew White, I'm a licensed professional engineer in the state of Connecticut. I'm with Ty & Bond Consulting Engineers, as Oracle mentioned, Matt Reagan is our wetland scientist, also from Ty & Bond, who's here this evening, who did the delineation, and I'm just realizing now, I'm looking at that correctly, and north is actually up.
Oh, gotcha, that's
So
okay.
sorry for the confusion there. So as we were, Oracle presented, we are proposing to build a new storage tank on this parcel off of West Pond Road. The parcel itself is around 9.6 acres, highlighted here in yellow. Access is off of Woods Pond through an access way that comes in. So right here, following up to the existing tank, is an existing access road that's constructed. We are proposing to build a new tank north of the existing tank's location and provide a new loop road that'll come in and connect down to that drive. So that way you have unidirectional traffic and have chemical deliveries or maintenance as for the life of the project that would be available. So for just an overview of the neighborhood, the setting, the existing tank, this is all giving the relationship here. For the rest of the presentation, I'm just going to rotate northeast, or north to page right, because that's how all of the plans are, so just to orient everybody.
Gotcha.
So here on this colorized map, we have the new tank, new access drive. We show the limit of tree clearing here, as well as the existing wetland that is present to the east of the tank. Highlighted here in blue is the upland review area. So we are just encroaching when we actually raise grade here for the road, and then we have a stormwater swale that'll be like a riprap. So that is what, that and a little bit of fencing is what's cutting into the upland review area, as well as the grade change.
How many feet does it intrude, like 5, 10 feet, or not even? Doesn't look like much. Might be less than 5 feet or something. Okay.
The entire
Just trying to get an idea, that's all.
The entire disturbance is likely closer to 18, 20 feet, but the actual swale itself, 3 to 4.
Gotcha, okay.
So it is not a considerable amount of disturbance. And we're keeping all imperviouses outside. It was very intentional to make sure that driveway was outside of the upland review area.
Okay.
And the stormwater collection is bypassing to come down to the rest of the site. So for some nuts and bolts on stormwater, this is stormwater and grading. This whole parcel is a hillside. The high point is just off the page here. So stormwater is going to the south as well as southeast and southwest. So we are effectively, when we create this new tank location, there are cuts and fills. We are balancing the site as best we can. We actually went through one design iteration and I went back with Regional Water Authority to add additional fill onto the site, to keep it on site, to reduce cutting and filling as much as we can. Currently there's around 900 cubic yards of export, which is considerably down from where it was in the first design iterations. And so we are effectively maintaining stormwater throughout the site. In these swales, we are proposing a large concrete underground infiltration system. We went out and did site soil testing to determine the infiltration rates. It's been sized to meet the town's criteria as well as the new 2024 deep stormwater management requirements. So this is reducing peak flow, 50% of the 2-year peak flow, as well as peak flows in 10 and the 100-year TSS requirements, total phosphorus, total nitrogen reductions that are required. So the collection system really is a perimeter collection, bringing everything down to the infiltration system, and then it connects to the existing drainage in West Pond Road. As it does today, there is a series of catch basins just in the driveway there. So improving the drainage off the side, as well as reducing peak flows and volumes for the site. Turn this around here. This is a colorized photo of all the soil erosion and sedimentation protections for the site. We have a series of erosion control blankets for all of these slopes that are being created, construction entrances, a temporary sediment trap to manage sediment during the construction, water bars and check dams that will be installed into the riprap swales that will also be maintained after construction. Since these are steeper grades. It's around 10% as it goes to that driveway, a little over. And then where the tank is being constructed is where a majority of the activity is going to be happening. So stockpile locations, and once that area is benched. So a perspective. So this area in green here is our site restoration. So this kind of shows you the extent of what the limit of tree clearing will be for the finished site. So currently the trees are, it's a little hard to see here, but hug pretty much the existing road and the tank. So it kind of makes a little bit of a fish hook. This is proposed to widen these out for construction, but the intent is not to keep them clear beyond the fence line. We'll be planting a conservation mix, so that way you get, for the first few years, it would be more like perennials and grass, but then you'll have trees that'll come up through there naturally in the seedlings. So the plan is to have that periphery revegetate.
And the center spot in green, that's all going to stay vegetated, or are you clearing all that in between the roadway?
In between, so this would be maintained. So every year or two, they can come through and clear as they need.
So they need more than beyond the roadway?
They do not need beyond the roadway.
So that's what I'm saying, the spot in between the roadway, is that going to stay vegetated, or is that being cleared?
It's being cleared for the activity. We're actually using that to put soil to manage that export of fill offsite. So this area in here does get built up and reshaped to maintain fill offsite versus the export. But the plan is to let that vegetate. So this is not saved for a specific use for the site. Revegetate.
Vegetate on its own?
Yes. So it'd be seeded during the project, but then to let it grow on its own.
So all the green areas that we see, you'll be seeding them, obviously, just to prevent erosion, and then let nature take over, is that what you're saying, or down the line? Okay, so it won't be an area that you'll be driving in, cutting, or doing anything. You'll kind of let it go back to its natural state.
Yep. So it'd be maintained enough for use on site. But yes, so a lot of these areas, especially where you have those steep slopes, that is all go back to be a vegetated state. So with that, that's an overview of the project. I'd love to take any questions.
I just have one question. I mean, obviously you probably wanted to have a constant radius curve on that new access road, but I mean, I'm sure you probably just consider bumping that up maybe 10 feet, and you would avoid that protection area completely, right? You wouldn't even have to be talking to us, right?
Yes, that is correct, but in order to maintain the driveway grade itself, as we bring this road up, it's going to steepen it up.
Right, I got it.
Trying to balance a few
It's
objectives.
fairly steep. No, you're using the original entrance,
Yes, we are.
and that's
Right.
fairly steep as is.
It's very steep, yes.
Okay.
Understood.
So this new tank is to replace the old tank?
So I believe the long-term plan is.
Actually, I can answer that.
Okay.
So the new tank is to replace the existing tank with 2 tanks. And that is going to allow us to do maintenance without putting our more service area at risk. So the intent is to put the new tank in. That will allow us to take this existing one offline for whether it be maintenance, to see how many more years we have in it, because we tend to do
So you'll maintain 2 tanks as well? Okay,
ultimately,
you're not building a
there's
third
gonna
one,
be-
you're.
There's going to be 2 tanks.
Gotcha,
not 3.
but one includes the old one and one includes the new,
In
gotcha.
order for us to build this, in order for us to
Understood.
take this one off, we need a new tank.
I just want to make sure that's what I thought it was, but you weren't putting a third tank in, it's
No.
really, gotcha, okay.
So it as is going to be the existing tank site, which is already there, and the new tank or proposed that was shown on the drawing.
Gotcha.
Those 2, the intent is that in the future, the existing tank will be a smaller footprint.
Gotcha, you replace that, but you'd have redundancy, so you wouldn't have to shut down your water operation, I got it, okay.
The new tank is 1.5 million gallons?
Yes, it is.
The old tank you said was 3 point something?
3.3.
3.3. So ultimately, you'll have both of them operating.
For a short period of time,
Can
yes.
you get water to my house?
Oh, absolutely.
It's downhill.
If the old tank needs removal, are you planning on doing that and then putting in a second tank as well?
That is, yes, that's the intent.
That makes sense.
And if you had to replace the old tank, would you put the new tank in that footprint there, or you think, or I know it's maybe hard to say, we're just asking, thinking
Yeah,
ahead.
that's fine. So, once this new tank is installed, the location where the existing tank is, the current tank, that would be the footprint, the new tank would be going.
Gotcha, okay,
You
so-
don't need one that big in terms of size. The footprint is gonna be smaller. It's gonna be the same height, because we do need the height, and that's the.
And the good thing, you won't have to do a lot of grading like you have to do now, which is understandable, but that second tank really will be, you remove the old one, put the new one in, you won't have to do much disturbance, okay,
There you go.
good, very good, thank you.
So the runoff from the site, after it goes through the water infiltration system, et cetera, eventually gets down to West Pond Road to the culverts, the existing culverts. I'm guessing that where you enter the existing culverts, that will be running south towards Guilford, towards the Guilford town line, am I correct?
Yes, so we enter
Yeah, it goes downhill, I imagine.
into the existing drainage system that's in West Pond Road, and then proceeds to the east. And down West Pond Road.
Down West Pond Road, it's, if I recall, it'll go down a particular hill, and at the bottom of that hill is the Guilford town line.
Right.
And how does that system, those culverts, how do they end? Where do they run to? Do they run into the lake?
I guess they run into the lake. I mean, you're keeping everything on the lot, right?
Yes, we're keeping everything on the lot, and we're reducing the peak flow and volumetric.
So you're
reducing it, but I mean, some of it is,
But it will continue to.
yeah.
but so I understand, when the new project is done, your net flow will be neutral or maybe a little less, it won't be more is what I'm, right, so it'll go the same, it'll make its way to the same culvert, and system, but it should be less than what it is now, okay, very good, okay.
Here's
All right.
Jerry.
What's it?
Here's the book.
Okay.
It's the stormwater report.
Oh, you can read it now.
Okay. I can read it later.
So take 5 minutes,
Yeah.
read it.
So,
Speed reading, huh?
all right, so I understand all of that. My only other concern, and that first part wasn't really a concern because I assumed that you had it figured out. But you talked about, Ashley brought up the green area in that area there. You said after the project is completed, you would let that naturally vegetate.
Yes.
That's going to be a mess. I know what's going to grow there. You're going to have mostly multiflora rose, and are you planning then on mowing that whole area periodically when you're doing maintenance or something, or just letting it go? Because if you're just going to let it go, why not do some nice plantings?
So there's a couple of things. Tank, trees, we don't like close to each other. So yes, it would be forming its natural tendencies, but it would be maintained. All right, it's not maintained on a weekly basis, but it would be maintained whether it be once a year or so, because we still need to kind of keep the area around the tank free of trees and other things that could be impeded. So it's no different than what we do for most of our tank
Okay.
sites.
So it'll be an area that'll get mowed every year or two.
Once or twice a year, yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah, brush off. All right, I don't have any further questions.
Any other questions from any of the agency members, any concerns, or? Nor do I. At this point, we can entertain, I guess we can entertain a motion, right? Is there anything, we really don't have an application, it's more just a,
Are we going to be allowed to ask questions?
well, it's not a public hearing, but what you can do is you can actually call the town, ask David some questions, and we could do it that way. If it was a public hearing, by all means, you could.
Okay, because there's many questions that are.
I'll tell you, why don't you give David a call, and I'll present him the questions, and then we can, is that all right, David, or?
That's
Are these
absolutely
folks-
whatever you want.
Are these folks neighbors to the project?
I assume, are you a neighbor to the
Yes,
project?
we are.
Okay.
We all border the driveway where they're going to
Okay.
get access to get to the.
So there will be a planning and zoning commission hearing relative to this, which would be a special permit because it's in the water company setback area, so that would be the public hearing for the zoning
Okay.
issue. This is strictly wetlands.
Right. So I'm sure they have,
It hasn't been determined to be a regulated activity by the Wetlands Commission, but it will be a special permit hearing in front of zoning and planning in a couple of weeks.
so they could, residents could go there and express, they could.
Correct, that would be your
Okay.
time to speak.
How are we going to be notified of that meeting?
If you're in a butter within 500 feet of the property, you will be notified by mail.
Okay.
If not, it'll be advertised in the newspaper twice, 2 weeks before the meeting,
The newspaper would.
the sound.
Oh, the sound, okay. So approximately 2 weeks or so? You don't have an exact date yet?
It's always advertised between 11 and 13 days, and 4 and 5 days before the meeting, twice.
And you can always go on the website and find the time and day of every planning and zoning meeting, so you can.
Is there a
at
date
least-
set yet?
No.
Okay. So they will, I assume you're both within 500 feet, I assume of that?
All of us.
Okay, then you should all be, then you'll all be notified.
That'll be your time to speak.
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
This really is
Absolutely.
only relative to the wetlands and the wetland implication, and as Steve said before, it's only about this much.
And we really don't have jurisdiction on the
Right.
building or construction end of it, sorry.
But your concerns are valid, and that's why I'm glad if you can get to that meeting, you can express or ask questions, or, you're certainly welcome to do that under that format.
That would be the time to talk about the road and the way things
The
up
impact
there.
and, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So then really, it's really not a formal, is it a formal application? Do we need to have a motion to?
I think you just
Make
make
a
a
motion.
determination that it's a use as of right because it's
Gotcha.
a public watershed
Gotcha.
application.
So we just.
Yeah, I was actually confused as to why you were coming before us to begin with. But now that you pointed out that little strip of wetlands, thank you very much for giving us consideration.
Well, we appreciate, we just like to know when projects happen like this, because the public will ask us, and, we just like to be, we appreciate you coming here and spending the time and letting us know what you're doing, and, that way it's just, it's better for everyone, so.
It is the regional intent. Whenever we're building any projects of such, as long as we're within close proximity, we're always going to come before whether it be wetlands.
We appreciate that.
We pride ourselves in the information.
Last question that comes to my mind, actually, what is the purpose of these tanks? What do they do? Is it for pressure?
So these tanks is what provides fire service to whether it be schools, hospitals if they're in the area, homes, businesses. It also provides or maintains pressure to all the houses within that service area.
Pressure.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it provides water.
But those tanks, how are they filled? They're filled from the reservoir, correct?
No.
No.
So from the reservoir goes to the treatment plant, which is your neighbor.
Yeah.
And from the treatment plant, it gets pumped via a pump station to the tanks, and the tanks are storage tanks. So just in case there's an issue at the treatment plant, there's still water in the system. That maintains the system pressure.
Gotcha.
Are you well or are you part of this?
Well,
Yeah, so you have no say in this.
two wells.
Me too.
So, yeah, don't even do it.
So would someone like to make a motion saying that we deem it a right of
permitted use.
excuse me, permitted use, and then people, someone like to just make that statement. I want to say motion, but it really is. And then we can all second it and we can prove it, right? Is that correct, Dave? Or someone should just state, just like we're making, someone we're making a motion, we just need to have someone state that. Okay.
Okay.
Very good.
All right, I move that the RWA is allowed to do this. Permitted. They are permitted use of right to the RWA can go through with this project.
Okay, do we have a second?
Yeah, second.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Okay. Good luck, guys.
Thank you.
All right.
So, Dave, how does the zoning board do they have to make a determination that the activity, it's a significant activity? I mean, how does the public get involved with that?
Any I think the water tower would be a special permit use.
And that generally kicks in a public hearing.
Even though it's existing? I mean, they're adding a new one to the site. Okay. Yeah. All right.
And I think water tower.
I would like to attend this meeting myself.
You know, our zoning regulations are so sort of old that they allow for, you know, water tanks and water this, and, you know, you have to sort of move it into the 21st century to figure out what category you're actually talking about.
You're proposing maybe some revisions in our regulations for the planning and zoning? Okay, just not our jurisdiction, but I get that. I'm catching your drift there. Okay, then I guess the next thing we can do is move on to item 6, excuse me, which is the Wetland Enforcement Officer's Report.
I don't have anything new other than.
Okay. All right, very good. All right, well then, unless anyone, other members have any things that they would like to discuss, we can move on to adjournment.
Did any of our favorite people come in to talk with you? Guess not.
Can I just ask one quick question?
Yes.
We're at 16 Olson Road, we're off that driveway.
Gotcha.
And would you agree to, as far as doing a walkthrough with Mr. Bozzuto for his property, and I know it's a different situation, would you consider doing a walkthrough of the area that they are anticipating doing the rebuild on? We understand it's not going to be until spring of 26, so there's plenty of time, but I would love to have you walk through the area so you can actually physically conceptualize. You don't live in the area.
Technically, unless it's a wetland issue, though, this sounds more like a planning and zoning issue. Would you say, David? I mean, really.
And that's typically the kind of thing that you should talk to me about.
Okay.
Yeah.
As a planner, and I'd be more than happy to go out and walk with you and look at it and be proactive and helpful and.
Great.
Because the wetlands comes up to our property, and we've already contacted the town about washout and everything.
Oh, I know there are issues over there.
Yeah.
We're all aware of that, the
Oh,
water company's
absolutely.
aware of that, and we want to fix it.
And this may be an opportunity to improve the site, you know, and you're very valid, your points are valid because you live there, you see it, you know, it's not like you're making this up. What you see is, so this may be a good opportunity, and again, you know, because to maybe address those
So
issues.
We've seen preliminary plans over the last 6 months that we've tweaked with these guys a bunch of times because we know the issue.
Okay. We've already met with Mr. Benny and Mr. Salentano last March, April timeframe. They were very nice. We met with them because of this. We had a big storm back then, huge runoff.
Right.
And, you know, so there's already some issues with that whole mountainside.
Yeah, no, we're quite aware of that.
Okay.
And this should help.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, no, you have some valid questions. You just want to make sure and try to get to that planning and zoning meeting, because that's probably your first time you really can ask some questions and get some answers, you know?
Great.
So,
But feel free to call me, Dave Perkins, town planner.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good evening. So again, nothing on the Wetland Enforcement Officer's report. Again, anything else anyone wants to talk to Dave about or anything before we adjourn? Jerry, expect next meeting to give us a full report on that, though. You know, so we we figured you got the book, so you shouldn't.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
I'm gonna return the book right now.
Yeah. Other than that,
Move to adjourn.
okay, do we have a second?
Second, third.
All in favor?
Yep.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.